Today we are here to enlist the public's help to identify potential victims of what we believe to be a sinister and far-reaching romance scam.
This is a very unusual episode of Prime Crime because we've been asked by the FBI to participate in an ongoing investigation, which is extremely rare. But this case is so extraordinary that they're asking for your help to bring this alleged perpetrator to justice.
Federal authorities say 43-year-old Aurora Phelps from Las Vegas targeted and drugged older men with dangerous amounts of sedatives. She then stole whatever she could.
Aurora Phelps is accused of running an international dating scheme that turned deadly.
I don't know if there's a better way to describe it than a romance scam on steroids. I mean, it really is.
After she got what she wanted, their assets, we believe she killed some of these subjects.
Someone could argue that she is a serial killer.
So far, the FBI knows of 11 victims, but there may be more.
She is truly a predator without comparison. What she did to these men, how she conned them, how she lured them, how she seduced them, is like nothing I've ever seen in 44 years of crime reporting.
Picture this: a woman pushes a wheelchair through an airport terminal, her passenger slumped forward, groggy, dressed in old sweatpants like he'd been pulled out of bed 20 minutes earlier. Nobody stops her. Nobody asks a single question, because why would they? She looks like she could be his daughter, gently wheeling her aging father toward a gate. Except she isn't his daughter. She's his girlfriend of a few weeks, a woman he met on a dating app, and in less than 2 hours, he will be dead in a bathtub 2,000 miles from the home he will never see again. Poisoned by his own trust. That man's name was John Wiens, a retired engineer from Las Vegas, a gentle guy who loved his dogs and loved to paint. And he is just one name on a list that federal investigators say could run to 11 victims or more. A list built by a woman the FBI itself has publicly described as running what amounts to a romance scam on steroids. Her name is Aurora Phelps. And if you are watching this somewhere between your 30s and your 60s, this case should genuinely unsettle you, not because it's rare, but because it is happening right now on the exact apps you, your friends, or your own parents are using to look for connection after a divorce, after a loss, after years of being alone. Phelps is 44 years old, a dual citizen of the United States and Mexico with homes in Las Vegas and in the Guadalajara area, and according to a 21-count federal indictment out of Nevada, she spent years building a life around one devastating skill: making lonely, older men fall for her fast, then taking everything they had. Investigators say the pattern started small. Long before the FBI ever heard her name, Phelps was allegedly at the center of a bitter custody fight back in Arkansas, accused of...
This quaint, historic town in Arkansas seems to be where Aurora's alleged criminal activities began. Her first reported victim was her very own first husband, Alejandro Alvarez. They had gotten divorced, and when he was granted custody of their 3 children, she apparently made a false claim against him that he abused her.
She turned on Alejandro Alvarez viciously, coaching her brother Abraham down in Mexico on how to spoof a phone call, make it seem as if it was coming from Alejandro's phone, threatening her, and coaching him on how to send threatening text messages.
I can only hypothesize that she just wanted some revenge on her husband for having her children and wanted her children with her. So an abuse claim in a child custody battle would go a long way to accomplish that goal.
But police were onto her alleged scam, and instead of giving her children back, they issued a warrant for her arrest. In response, Aurora apparently skipped town. She moved to Las Vegas and made a life for herself there.
Orchestrating fake threats against her own ex-husband to try to win back her children, a scheme that collapsed and sent her running to Las Vegas instead. There, without a steady income, she drifted between singing gigs, restaurant work, and selling timeshares, all while cultivating an online persona as a glamorous influencer, unboxing designer handbags for a growing audience, projecting a life she could not actually afford. Somewhere in that gap between the image and the reality, investigators believe the scheme was born. She allegedly tested it first on a friend.
Aurora settled in Las Vegas with her new husband and her baby daughter, but it turns out she went back to Arkansas for a while. And this, it seems, is when she started to develop this alleged MO of preying on people for their money. Only this time, it wasn't a man she targeted.
She started in Arkansas with a female friend.
They had been friends for about 3 years leading up to that incident. I think it was just an opportunity that could be set up quickly to be able to gain some funds. She had met that lady in a hotel room and potentially drugged her.
We learned she had actually drugged her own friend in order to take her identity and steal some of her money.
The lady woke up from being unconscious alone in the hotel room to find her wallet gone, and then saw charges on her credit card.
Now, fortunately, in this case,
drugging her during a shared hotel stay and stealing her identity and her money, a trial run that apparently taught her exactly how far she could push it. Then she turned to dating apps and to men who had something her friend didn't have: real savings, real pensions, real retirement accounts built over 40 years of work. Her method, prosecutors say, was almost disturbingly simple. And what made her so effective wasn't some elaborate hacking scheme or fake identity. It was her ability to read a lonely man in minutes and become exactly what he'd been missing.
Her scheme was pretty simple when it came to the dating websites, which is, she posts a profile, typically indicating that she's interested in older men, has a picture of herself. Any, single gentleman that's out there says, here's a younger, female that looks like she's interested in dating. That's not unheard of. I'll hit a button, I'll see if she responds, and I'll be darned if she doesn't respond pretty quick. She made herself look attractive to, especially to older men. She seemed very pleasant. There was nothing that would be disturbing or suspicious for somebody that is in the world of dating online. When you would look at her profile, you wouldn't think anything of it.
People describe her as being easy to have a conversation with, polite and charming, but she's able to change her personality to fit what that person imagines, right? And what that person's seeking for.
She has the ability to turn on and off these different parts of her personality. It's almost like there's 10 different people in that one person.
One of the very first men who responded to Aurora's posts was living near Las Vegas, and this was about a year and a half before John Wiens.
He had a long career in the film business, worked in Hollywood, and at the time that this happened was retired, doing well, kind of enjoying life in his 60s, and I think was just looking for someone to date casually, and got on dating websites to try to meet someone, and that's when he met Aurora Phelps. They actually began kind of a dating relationship. They would meet in person on lunch dates.
Mike Wiens, whose dad was allegedly victimized, also spoke to this man about his story.
He tried not to pursue a relationship with her. She insisted and came over to his house bringing food.
At one point, they ordered food and left the food unattended, came back and began to eat, and then passed out, and was estimated to be held in his home for about 5 days. He told me that he recalled waking up briefly to her shoving more pills down his mouth. And we assume that for the 5 days was continued to be given drugs.
And at some point she was gone, he was able to come out of a coma and find a spare set of car keys that he had hidden somewhere. And he tried to get to the hospital and he crashed his car. He was so bad.
He received medical treatment and checked out of the hospital a couple days later.